As we work our way through Isekai as a genre, clarifying this modern trend, showcasing examples, how said examples defined it, and trying to answer some questions on why it persists to this day, I'm looking at one of those cornerstones yet again. Certainly not as influential as Re:Zero or Konosuba, but a series that pioneered a subgenre in of itself. Also using it to keep the series that shall not be named at bay for at least another video. That's a problem for future me, because today we're looking at a show that was probably the first isekai that marked the modern age, kicking off proper, at least in anime, what we consider isekai. If No Game No Life was the first Homo sapien, then keeping with that metaphor, what we're looking at today would be the dawn of civilization. No more prototypes and such, but one that was probably the first popular show that shoved the industry down the isekai rabbit hole. That's right, today we're looking at Overlord. The first big show that paved the way for such others as Tensei Shitara Slime Zatsuken and Mao-sama Retry, with a guy being swept off and inserted into another's life rather than his own in the new world, typically in the villain role and using their newfound powers to shape the universe around them. So isekai and web novel go together like teenagers and suicidal thoughts, which is true for this series as well. Well, not the suicidal thoughts part, but you know what I mean. Overlord started in 2010, capitalizing slightly before most other isekais were starting up on the publishing platform Arcadia, a Japanese self-publishing website like another series we looked at, Gate. But 2 years after it started, the series migrated to the more recognizable Shousetsuka ni Naro, before being picked up for a light novel adaptation by Enterbrain later that year. Thus far, we've looked at properties being funneled down the anime production pipeline as though the producers are the ones looking to cash in. But as a trend yet to be established, Overlord seems to be the one that popped so many cherries. Re:Zero and Konosuba were commercial success stories before their anime hit television, but Overlord had seen middling success with barely over 600,000 units sold in 2015, 3 years into its light novel run. Come Madhouse's adaptation, the novel saw a spike of 400,000 units sold in a month, and not even a year later, over 2 million total, turning it into one of the top-selling light novels in 2015. I don't think it really needs illustrated that quadrupling sales figures within a year demonstrates to the publishing industry the need for an anime adaptation and guaranteeing success, which is why I believe we're seeing such an oversaturation. It's not fair to frame this as the anime industry constantly scouring for the next big isekai, as the practice is mutually beneficial for all parties involved. An author makes it big, a publisher sells a ton of books, a studio makes a profit, and people are introduced to a new series to enjoy or bitch endlessly about online, fueling curiosity. Isekai is a sales juggernaut fueled from every angle. The only reason I keep stressing that is for all 2 people watching these who still can't figure out why 5 new isekai shows are released every season, as publishers want to move units and studios want more Blu-rays sold. Overlord probably demonstrates that model more effectively than any other isekai we've looked at so far. But if I had to pick a defining moment where isekai, actual isekai as we think of it today, broke into the mainstream, launching the modern trend proper, it would be this series. Overlord stuck its foot in the door in 2015, before Re:Zero and Konosuba busted the market wide open a few seasons later, more so than Gate and No Game No Life had done. Being such a commercial success, which translates to popularity as the former follows from the latter, Overlord arguably did more for this genre than any other show could have hoped for. The appetite was whetted, and this was the first bite of the main course for fans. So, Overlord, a show about a guy falling Sword Art Online style into a dead video game, taking up the bad guy role as the protagonist while finding the NPCs around him are suddenly self-aware and worship the ground he walks on, refusing to log out of a game until the servers shut down, somehow landing him trapped in a new world due to it being a deep dive game. Just roll with it. While that would seem like a direct ripoff of Sword Art Online because it sort of is, it changes up the formula enough to not feel entirely stale by sticking the guy in the body of a badass level 100 monster character with magic items up the ass and technically changing the setting at the last second. But adding on top of that is him taking over his character. Having a guild full of powerful NPCs at his beck and call gives him a slight edge in the OP department, as he came ready-made with a virtual army at his disposal. And for his goals, world domination came to mind pretty damn quick, even if it was to find others from his world. Anyway, it's your standard medieval level society affair with magic, lower level technology, and adventuring guilds. Besides that small caveat, it's bog standard for what one would expect. And with that short description, this thing surely is the type of isekai we're looking for, as it fills out the power fantasy that makes these shows so attractive while paying homage to the tropes of the established genre. He's trapped, this time in a new body, with amazingly broken power between his absurd items, army, and magic, and changes the world around him as he sees fit by embarking to conquer it. From what we understand about isekai, it's not anything special by those metrics. So what does this series offer? What makes it so different, and how did it shape the medium? As I already hinted at, while the whole trapped in a video game thing had been done before, and not just by Sword Art Online mind you, this series did take it in a new direction by allowing the character to be trapped in the body of a high-level character and then moving that to another world with his power and resources still intact, and switching with what one would consider an evil alignment. That in of itself turns many of the genre tropes around, implementing a struggle against society both internal and external. And that gives it a creative edge in the stage of the game where it hit. Overlord was probably the first anime isekai to do something like this, where our hero is a villain to others. I've already mentioned it earlier, but his strive to make the world in his image opened up the door for so many other monster and villain isekais down the line. It's what allowed something like Tensei Shitara Slime Dataken to exist, where the hero is a monster. It did that by being so damn successful and inspiring others to follow in its footsteps. If Overlord didn't sell so many light novels, would it be fair to assume the reincarnated into an evil monster / person's body subgenre would have gotten off the ground? Probably not, as this demonstrated the market desire for it among publishers to give more of those a shot beyond curiosity on Shosetsuka ni Naro. The market push certainly encouraged others to seek out series similar, and those already reading would be more vocal in their recommendations. It's safe to say Overlord, aside from pushing studios and publishers to give isekai a chance in general, certainly developed the reincarnated subgenre. Without it, I doubt we would see as many today as we do, as even Ascendance of a Bookworm is a reincarnated isekai owing a bit to this series. This sort of tapped into a weird fantasy of not just being powerful, but playing off the desire of being a powerful monster in a video game, and crushing your opponents with their OP stats versus what a player can reasonably have. It fills out that niche of what people can do when they're not tied down by the strict hero morality, able to venture out and do as they please without having to justify their actions. And I think that's where Overlord cut out its edge in the market, and what others have tried to reproduce. That's not to say it encouraged glorification of evil acts, but it allowed for more nuanced protagonists. It's not so much that it's a power fantasy, but one where the character does right by themselves first and foremost, by not forcing the world around them to contort to their morality like a lot of later shows do. Overlord, from what I've looked at so far, is the series that contributed the most to isekai, in solidifying, popularizing, and pioneering the genre. If there was a ground zero for the actual boon, this would certainly be it. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and do all the other YouTube things to help the channel grow. Thanks for watching.